I'm here with the co-executives of the North American Invitational Multi-United Nations Conference, Taylor Wettach and Caitlin Pharo, the Secretary General and Executive Director of the conference. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's great to have you here.
Can you tell Best Delegate readers, so tell us about the conference, what have been the highlights, major accomplishments, things you are most proud of accomplishing this weekend?
Okay, well, NAIMUN is, as you said, Ryan, the North American Invitational Multi-United Nations. It's been going on for 49 years now. This is the 49th year of the conference. We say NAIMUN 49. It is a massive conference, over 3,000 delegates. As you say, we are the biggest in the Western Hemisphere. This year's proven to be particularly competitive. It's been a great time. And so in that way, NAIMUN is a massive conference, a big social conference. It's very much about substantive innovation, but it's also about the broader aspects, the philanthropic aspects, the programming that we can provide being in DC, and much more. Caitlin?
Yeah, I think for me, everything that Taylor said applies, and then some. And I think what's always made NAIMUN special is that, you know, we always are absolutely at the top of the pack in terms of our substance, in terms of, you know, different new things committees are trying and different new ways of running a crisis and different new ways of ensuring that our chairs are top notch. And, you know, this year I think Taylor and I put a particular emphasis on sort of staff development. The idea being that, you know, you can teach people how to chair better, teach people to be more effective crisis managers. You know, this isn't all about pure talent and swagger. And then I think what makes NAIMUN special beyond that is that we take all of that substantive knowledge and interest and intrigue, and we say, how can we apply that to the real world? How can we apply that to the world around us? You know, sort of a mantra that's often repeated at NAIMUN is think globally, act locally. So it's sort of what can we do, you know, in your own backyard, or, you know, in the case of our charity this year, in someone else's backyard, but still on a very local level. You know, our charity water supports water projects in individual villages, and the idea is that when so our conference, when we donate to charity water, we're saying we're going to help specific people with a, you know, very urgent problem.
What's your fundraising goal for charity water?
Our fundraising goal is still $25,000.
How close are you guys to getting there?
I actually haven't had time to put in today's numbers yet, so any numbers I give will be from Friday.
Okay.
So I don't know where we are.
All right, that's all right. It's okay. Okay, so really quick, let's focus on logistics and then substance.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So spoke with Randy Crooks, your director of programming. Learned that NAIMUN this year has doubled the amount of programming you guys offer. That yesterday was the big day for you guys. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So yesterday when we doubled programming, we added in information briefings here at the hotel. We had more embassy visits than ever before, and we also coordinated visits to international organizations, so to the UN Foundation and the Peace Corps. We coordinated visits there in addition to embassy visits. And we also then tonight are sending teams out on team dinners organized by NAIMUN. So, you know, for teams that want to have a last moment of bonding before the conference ends, we've helped them find a dinner. And then also Friday, we had our expert speakers come in Saturday afternoon, or not Saturday, Friday afternoon. Expert speakers came into committees. Over half of our committees had an expert speaker this year. And then Friday night kicks off with a big social event of the day, which is Hilltop Madness, which is all about what else goes on at Georgetown.
That must have been a huge logistical challenge for all those things, and this is like double the amount of work from previous years.
Yeah.
And what struck me is that you guys are taking advantage of DC, as you said yesterday, location, location, location. Students get to learn about international affairs, not just at the conference, but beyond the conference, right? Like in the city, which I think is really great.
Yes. So
cool.
So basically, we also had our social justice programming yesterday. We had our service project and our social justice fair, and basically a lot of things happen concurrently at NAIMUN. Because we have so many delegates, we try to find something for everyone to do on Friday morning during the committee free time. We want every delegate to find a way to take what they're talking about in committee and find something in the real world they can apply it to. And so that's fundamentally our goal with programming, which is why we decided to sort of push ourselves and add what we could, where we could, to try to make the programming that much more engaging for as many delegates as possible.
Cool, 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 cool. Thank you. And switching to the substance side, right? So I know there was a lot of emphasis placed on like chair development. My guest live blogger Hayes asked a lot of chairs about that, and they totally corroborated that. There was more chair development than ever. Could you just like elaborate on that?
Yeah. So One thing that we really pushed, as you said, this year was chair development. It did extend beyond that, though. It's also crisis manager development. And basically, we want to make sure that we could refine the way that people understand committee. Traditionally, often the training that happens is, okay, here's how Parley Pro works. So we run through information on Parley Pro, and it's like, do you understand this? Do you have questions? And often for a lot of conferences, that's how things play out. There isn't a real development beyond that of what actually is the hard to get, almost intangible aspect of what makes a great chair, what makes a great dais, what makes a great crisis manager. So what we did was we gathered some of the best chairs and best CMs that we have at Georgetown and that we have that work in NAIMUN. And we created 2 different panels. One would be on sharing and then one on crisis managing, though aspects of just being on the dais and just being in the crisis management team go beyond that, not just the focal point roles. So we created two panels with different roles on each, describing essentially how the different aspects of what makes a great chair, and realizing that it's not one type of individual that makes a great chair. So for example, with the case of, how do you chair a committee, we did an example of somebody being an activist chair and somebody being a chair that is more inclined toward reacting toward their delegates. And how do you go ahead and use different styles and different techniques to move forward committees? And then over on the crisis side, the same kind of situation played out. How do you go ahead and, if some crisis managers directly control their delegates and move them forward, some react in various levels. And as I provide you, and I hope you can provide to everybody on Best Delegate at some point or another, we broke it down to various stages and different points, and really tried to allow chairs to reach their full potential and to realize that there isn't one right way to be a chair, but there's many great ways that there can be a chair. And then also it takes a lot more work than Parley Pro. And then finally, being a great chair or being a great CM is not all down to natural talent, your ability to know Model UN or to control the room, that kind of thing. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a real ability that you can learn. If you practice, if you think about it, if you analyze all the aspects, you can learn how to be a better chair. You can learn how to be a better crisis manager. Okay. And then so beyond the aspects of preparing our committees to actually be able to participate in NAIMUN as a whole, we've really tried to take NAIMUN's substance to a brand new level. We have 5 basic, typical organ structures that are pretty prevalent throughout the emolument community. So General Assemblies, ECOSOCs, regionals, councils, summits, and courts, and cabinets. And this year, we decided to create a brand new organ, which is the U.S. National Security Apparatus. So this organ is 5, what we say, concurrent crisis committees that work together to simulate the United States government's response to the events that were happening starting in autumn of 2002. So issues in regard to nuclear aspects of Iran and the Iraq war situation, and et cetera, building off of that, to show that it's not just what happens in one committee that decides foreign policy, but what happens that decides foreign policy is a connection between various components in government, and allow delegates to see that there's various components that happen that allow that to really make a broad foreign policy and a grand strategy. And then also we've really tried to expand crisis elements and other non-traditional Model UN aspects to a wider variety of committees. And this has played itself out through a greater amount of crisis elements in regional bodies. So for example, allowing crisis to happen in the Organization of American States or the Arab League, and other committees that are maybe 20 people committees, or I'm sorry, 30 person committees that go beyond the traditional small cabinet style. And this has also been a real push for us this year to allow committees to work together in various ways. So we have the North Korean committee dealing with Kim Jong-il's death, working with the UNSC at one point, and without telling the delegates in advance, they would work together. And for the midnight crisis that we had 4 of our committees dealing with issues of the Arab Spring, working together just for that moment. So we've really tried to take the crisis elements to a new level and to think about how we can work on interconnecting committees to help delegates learn about the broader aspects of what makes foreign policy functional.
I think that's really cool. And when you told me about that, the concurrent crisis model versus like convergent crisis models, I was like, you really have to be like a hardcore MUNer to like really appreciate like how cool that idea is.
Yeah.
Like, but when you're a delegate, it's just like it's just fun.
Yeah.
And from the reviews I got, that's awesome.
It's great to hear.
All right, one more question, just one for each of you. All right, this one clearly it's a lot of work to like organize this conference. You guys have been doing this for a while, like both for this conference and throughout your careers here at Georgetown. What does NAIMUN and Model UN mean to each of you?
All right, so for me, NAIMUN was something I signed up for when I came to Georgetown. I did Model Congress in high school, and I knew I wanted to chair a committee in college. I still haven't done that, by the way.
Logistics.
Right, and so I came to NAIMUN my freshman year, and I was placed as a staffer on press corps. I staffed NAIMUN for the first time as a staffer on press corps, and in that role, I got to hang out in work suite a lot, and so I saw all the logistics staffers at work, and started thinking that's something I would be interested in, something I would like to do. And then for me, NAIMUN's sort of message of translating thought into action and taking all the work that we do here in committee and in the conference and trying to find a way to turn it around and give it back was something that really spoke to me, and it was really something that meant a lot to me. And so for me, what makes Model UN special is that it sort of shows delegates, that even they, when they're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, can, talk and debate and, come to agreements in a meaningful way on these incredibly complicated international issues. And that gives them then an opportunity to think about world problems, and we just open up so many minds while we're here. And to me, that sort of educational and that chance to give back are the two aspects that have always really motivated me to put in, however many hours of work into the conference.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Caitlin took the words out of my mouth in that one. Of course, really, NAIMUN really does allow people to combine, I think, the best aspects of international relations with real action, and that for me is a real draw. My initial experience with NAIMUN actually almost came by accident. I came to Georgetown. I had never done Model United Nations before. I ended up meeting some people I really enjoyed in it, and I got on the wait list for NAIMUN as a freshman. Made it off the wait list, was on a really amazing committee with some great people that I really respected, and I said, I want to do this. I want to be part of NAIMUN. For me, it just was something that was so much bigger than the sum of than just the parts themselves. It really brought people together, and there's just such an energy and a passion that people feel for it. So I think that definitely what it is it allows people to take international relations to a more active level and to really impact things. But at the core of it, at the real emotional level, it's the people that really drew me toward Model UN. It's the people that drew me toward NAIMUN. I think that NAIMUN does a great job of bringing 200 Georgetown students together as a real family. I think that NAIMUN does a great job of bringing 3,000 high schoolers from around the world together to work and to make friends. And so many people that I know that have done NAIMUN as high schoolers or that have been working with it as in college have met so many of their closest friends that have continued to stay with them throughout the rest of their time. And so for me, NAIMUN is very much that aspect of bridging the gap between thought and action. And the other aspect is really the people.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me, and congratulations on a wonderful conference.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you so much.